All right. Welcome everybody to another wonderful, entertaining, educated edition of We All Be News, Radio, and TV. I'm your host for this empowerment, informing, enriching segment, Brother Ron, also known as R2C2H2, the artivist. Got my man, Brother Phil. You back on the line. Can you feel us? Brother Phil, are you there?
Absolutely, Brother Ron. I can feel you, and I'm right here with you. Hey, everyone. It's Brother Phil, ready to join in on the conversation and add a little extra flavor to today's show. Let's dive in.
Yeah, man. We got a special guest on. Can you please introduce our special guest, the one and only attorney, Sister Angela Green, CEO of On Location Memphis. Can you do the rollout, please, sir?
Absolutely. I'd be honored to. All right, everyone, let's give a warm welcome to a truly distinguished guest. We have with us the incredible attorney Angela Green, the CEO of On Location Memphis, and a powerhouse in both the legal and entertainment worlds. Sister Angela, we are so excited to have you on the show today. Welcome.
All right. Without further ado, step aside, Phil. Let the woman come in. The queen is here. How you doing?
Hello, I'm fine, and you?
All right. Thanks for joining us on the last Sunday of the year.
Absolutely.
It's been a roller coaster. I can't believe we already here.
I know. I didn't know Phil was working with you now on the
podcast. He's my wingman for a little bit, but somebody be doing disappearing acts on me and stuff like that.
Oh, okay.
Hot and heavy, but definitely want to talk to you. I've been a while. First of all, congratulations on all the success you've been having this year. On Location Memphis has really been making this mark felt locally as well as nationally and even beyond our borders. So I just want to thank you and congratulate you on that as well.
Thank you. I appreciate that. Appreciate all your support and kind words.
Yeah, can you talk about some of the achievements, like film-wise, you have done this year, like some of the things that happened?
Well, so this year we screened our second project under the Memphis Movie Production Apprentice Program. So that was a program that we launched in 2023. Our first project that we screened in 2024 was Fifth Step, Confession Heals the Soul. And so our second one that we filmed it in 2024 and we premiered it this year in May, The Coffee Shop. And so we're really excited about that, The Coffee Shop. We also rolled out a lot of the writing. You know, we kind of moved into the writing aspect. So Christy B. Taylor, who was the writer of The Coffee Shop, and she made her directorial debut. She also did a Write It Short screenwriting intensive for us. And I think we did for about 4 to 6 weeks, which was our first time kind of pushing into the writing side.
Yeah.
And then she, on top of that, launched her Act Right Memphis acting classes. And so we partnered up to support her with that, and which also garnered additional benefits for our tour club members. And so she was hosting her acting classes on Tuesday nights. And then we rolled right into pre-production for the Fifth Step sequels. And so we shot it was a 10-day shoot the first week in October. And we shot actually 3 scripts over those 10 days.
Wow.
And so now we're in post-production on that. So the whole theme has been from local to global is the theme. And so that's what we've been doing, really since I took over the organization in 2014, is building up the logo and the relationship that we've now established with the company that my partner Margaret Haddon and I rolled out, Sweet Spire TV, is the global. And so now we have it from start to finish, and now we're trying to build it out so that everyone can reap the benefits from the infrastructure that we have put together.
Oh, that's very incredible. Again, congratulations on the Fifth Step. I actually saw. I went to the premiere of the first Fifth Step. It was a cliffhanger.
It was a cliffhanger. It was a cliffhanger. So we have finished the story. And actually, that was my first time writing a screenplay. But for the sequels, we brought in one of the actresses from that movie, and this was her first time. So she worked with me, and we wrote the scripts, which was 3. to finish out the whole story. And so this is her screenwriting debut, Miss Cynthia Jones. So it's all about education and support and launching of the careers. And that's what that's what we're all about, and that's what we're doing. So yeah, I'm looking forward to, we're in post-production, so I'm looking forward to 2026 when we start premiering those episodes.
That's excellent. Also, shout out to sister Christy B. Taylor for a directorial debut in screenwriting and all the good things she's doing. Because the coffee shop, I definitely enjoyed that. Y'all mastering the art of the short film. I mean,
that's what we.
Did you ever thought you'd be doing that though, like doing short films?
No, okay. Absolutely not. I've always been into the arts or into writing. Of course, I ended up going to law school, but my undergrad is in communications, which I did work in television and radio before going to school for law. And then once I got into law, then I was, building a practice that pays nicely. I, moved into real estate. So I built my law practice on real estate, although I still had a heart for the arts and music in particular at that time. But the Memphis movie production project, it really kind of nudged me back to writing, but in a different format. So, screenwriting was not anything that I had ever done prior to. I had written little short books and things in high school and things of that nature, of course. And I feel like I'm pretty, strong when it comes to my writing skills, but I had never attempted screenwriting. And this situation basically created a necessity. We had gotten a grant to shoot this project, to do this program, and we needed a script. And I was under the gun. And so we had the bones of a outline of a story, and I basically took that and kind of ran with it, and I realized that I enjoyed it. I enjoyed the process, and I was pleased that I actually finished the process. Once I started getting into the nuts and the bolts of how you piece it together, and I was like, okay, it's starting to make sense and everything. So, no, it's not anything I ever planned or thought, but writing and producing which is to me is project management. That all kind of came naturally to me because I've done event planning, conferences and things like that. And I just kind of took those skills from event planning and applied them to film production. And then through Christy Taylor coaching me, I was able to take my writing skills and kind of apply it to the screenwriting process. And it's just kind of just worked out. So I'm definitely looking to do more, in that area.
That sounds pretty cool. So like you just had a fill in the spot, and that became destiny, huh? Part of your
exactly
path. Right. You created a way when it was a necessity. So it's a lot of time how this stuff kind of start for a lot of people. Like you just found your way into it. It wasn't planned, but God had other plans. It was always in the detail. So my action is like, how is it to make? Is the environment very supportive to make film in Memphis? Is it very supportive environment?
I think it is. I think, of course, Memphis is known for music. And so there are a lot of outlets and support in that regard. But I think once I kind of moved into the space and started looking around, there were avenues to support independent filmmakers. Of course, not as many as on the music side, but there are avenues. And then there are means to support and to do it. So with me coming into the space with On Location Memphis and us being a nonprofit and us being leaning into the workforce development aspect of it, it just created another opportunity, to support the independent film community and really kind of raise up that I guess that industry here, because this is something that just kind of have been on my heart, even with when I kind of pivoted On Location Memphis, because historically, if people don't know, On Location Memphis was a film festival. That's the way it started.
Okay.
That's what it was for 17 years. I did not started in 97. I didn't start volunteering with the organization until 2010. And I was brought to the organization because I was led to the organization because of the music. I had artists that I represented in my law practice that was interested in music placement and TV and, scoring and things of that nature. And so I thought, working with the film festival would at least give me an idea of what's going on. How do you get placements? How do you do this thing? And
Right.
so it's just it hit so through that relationship and through working on film festivals and kind of recognizing things and then looking at the landscape of Memphis in particular, I felt like there needed to be a shift in the organization. It was an all ran, volunteer run organization. Raising money for the film festival was a difficult task to say the least every year. And I felt like the organization needed something different, that the community needed something different. We already had several film festivals already, very successful and large film festivals already in the space. And so I felt like it was time to shift. So when I took over in 2014 and I made that shift, it was a shift towards my strengths, which is business, which is the legal, which is the revenue generating aspect of the industry,
Right.
film and music. So I shifted to, towards my strengths, but also keeping it within the strengths and the legacy of the organization, which is film and music. And so we teach entertainment business through real life application. And so the programming is all about that aspect of it, giving opportunities for people to learn by doing. And we did it with the music placement. We started with the Our Tour Club, started moving into the digital streaming distribution, figuring that whole piece out. We started at I guess you could say we started adding different benefits to the Our Tour Club that are needed for creative entrepreneurs. So, we created the relationship with the law school, being a legal entertainment law externship for the law school, bringing law students in to help us with the contracts, to help us with the consulting, with the club members, the business consulting, contract drafting, and then also the below the line space on the film production through Memphis Movie Production, doing training on those jobs that are a part of the filmmaking space, the below the line jobs, which is your camera operators, your sound technicians, your composers, your grips, your script supervisors, your hair and makeup, just your wardrobe, just all of those jobs that people don't even really think about that are associated with the filmmaking process, which in turn created opportunities for those above the line. And then just looking at the space and saying, okay, Memphis is a creative city,
Right.
and there are people here who have been creating, and even though they're not making money, they're not living off of it. They may have a day job, but they still create. They still create the music, they still create the films, regardless, because that's in the DNA of the city. But the film and music space are billion-dollar industries,
Right.
and there's no reason why we can't tap into that industry from Memphis. People shouldn't have to leave Memphis to tap into that industry when the product is being created here and and people are learning how to create the project here, the product here. So, the education on the music side is top notch, and the education on the film side is right behind it, I would say. And so that's kind of what we're looking at. We were like, hey, we should be able to tap into this industry from here. And that's where the whole local to global, concept has kind of come into, like, because as people are creating this music here, they're creating these independent films here, and they're doing it all year round. How do we create sustainable work for people? And then how do we tap into that global market where that revenue trickles back to the individuals, the businesses that are creating the content here?
That was a lot. I'm glad you said all what you said. You laid out the terrain very well, like you were presenting a case in court, counsel.
Right.
But like I'm thinking, like, damn, this like next year gonna be the 20th anniversary of your organization.
Right.
And you doing it in 2014. Like, what do you think about this? Your organization been around for 20 years, and how the mission has really changed.
I know that is phenomenal. I had not even really thought about it in
Think
those
about the stuff you got
terms.
coming out next year, though. I mean, it is a testament to it.
It is.
Being
It
a
is.
very important thing.
Yeah, because we've done over the 10 years that 11 years now that I've been over it. It has done a phenomenal, like a 180.
Wait a minute. You said 96, right?
So the organization started in 97.
97. So almost 30 years. My bad. I got
Really almost 30.
Almost 30 years. Okay, wow.
Yeah, it started in 97. I took
man.
over in 2014.
Wow.
So I've been at the helm for about 11 years. And I've done we've refreshed everything, the logo, the vision, the mission, the programming. We've refreshed it all, totally 180 on it, while still maintaining, some of the nostalgia of the organization, which is the Airstream trailer. That has always been the hallmark of On Location Memphis. But we have a new logo. Each of our programming has its own branding and logo and mission and vision. And so we've done a lot of training. And so I've thought about that, as far as the legacy of the organization, where it started as the film festival and where it's, where I've taken it at this point. And I believe, for the time, I think the festival was impactful for the time in which it was created and the time it was there. And I think, once the pivot, the change was made, I believe we've impacted the community in our own respect, with the program that we're doing based on what we felt like the community needed. And that's kind of where I was. I said the community will support what the community feels that it needs. And I know if I'm an attorney in Memphis and I can't build a solo entertainment law practice in business, then obviously the community needs to learn how to monetize the content that it's creating and really build a infrastructure, an economically successful infrastructure in businesses here. And it can do it. I mean, the content is here. It just needs to make its way, find a way to make its way to the larger community.
You said something, got me thinking about some stuff. Do you get a chance to see that HBO docu-series about Stacks?
Yes, I did.
I thought about that, and also I thought about what a person told me a while, not that long ago, about when they made the movie The Firm here in Memphis. From my understanding, the people behind that movie, they really took a liking to Memphis, and they actually wanted to invest resources into Memphis, from my understanding, to train up and coming talent. And the powers that think they be shut it down. It kind of remind me, what they told me. They said, no, y'all can't, because this is a plantation town. Memphis is a plantation town, so straw boss and all that. But I'm thinking about that Stacks thing, because here you had a company that was producing millionaires, black millionaires from the hood, giving back to the community. But it's people here at certain institutions did not want black folks to have that type of money. They shut it down.
I mean, it definitely, the narrative is there to support, support what you're saying. And that Stacks documentary really laid it out plain, because I think the rumors about how Stacks, fail, what was involved, how everything got mixed up and that sort of thing, how they lost control of their catalog and that sort of thing. All of that, was legendary, and people were always speculating, as to what happened. So it was refreshing to hear the story and to hear it from the people who were a part of it, so that you can get it straight from the horse's mouth, as far as what happened. But to me, and I think other people will agree, when Stacks failed, that infrastructure that was in place in order to take content, music content, and probably other content, had it stayed alive. It probably would have pushed into the film space as well eventually. Having that pipeline from local to global was taken away. And you have not seen it, as well as the ancillary businesses surrounding that industry. Because I remember another gentleman was talking to me about it. He said, with Stacks being here, there were a lot of other businesses, limo services and cleaners and caterers and, just a lot of other ancillary businesses that basically went away when Stacks went away, because it wasn't, I guess the need for it wasn't as great anymore. And you lost that pipeline to the world stage, as far as the distribution and the money trickling back to the individuals locally without having to leave. So, that's, to me, that's the loss there, because when you think about it, like you said, it was making millionaires from the hood here, from their own backyard, and now our millionaires from Memphis have to go to L.A. They have to move to Atlanta. They have to go to New York. You know what I'm saying? To find the level of success that those Stacks artists found living in Memphis, and they are still here. Many of them are still in Memphis. Our artists now have to leave Memphis in order to find that level of success. And that's what I would like to see, that we shouldn't have to lose our talent in order for our talented individuals or entrepreneurs or artists or filmmakers in order for them to reach the success that they long for. Now, one person in particular that you would say has been able to stay is Craig Brewer. His movie opened up Christmas Day.
Okay.
Yes. Yeah, Song Blue. He's the only one that I'm thinking off the top of my head who has kind of maintained his base here in Memphis, but still has global, has garnered global success in the industry of, the artistic industry of choice. So, but I like to see more. Yeah. But I like to see more.
Like, when you thought, I'm thinking about, okay, Isaac Hayes at one point, he died back in 2008. He was here. I remember when I was a teenager working at Cecil's, I used to see him, coming in the grocery store, and all the women go crazy because around the time Soft Power came out,
right?
He was shelfing. I can't help you, fellas. We don't want no autographs, so we good,
right?
Let the ladies love Isaac, but also you said Craig Brewer. I met him. He's like a good, decent guy, but it seemed like once again it's a plantation town. Fred Smith is allowed to have lived here, to have grown up in Memphis, to become a billionaire in Memphis, to have a multi-billion dollar here headquartered in Memphis. See, if it's white, it's right. And Fred had helped a lot of black folks, including my mom and other people, get some jobs and stuff. But I'm saying that's the thing. They don't want black folks to be a Fred Smith. They don't want a black person to be a Craig Brewer in this town. And I'm serious about that, because everybody can't live in Atlanta. I like Atlanta, but I don't want to live there. I want to do business there. I want to have fun there. But Memphis got so many things going for it as far as being the center of the country. This is world's, it go one or two, world's second largest cargo airport, Memphis. FedEx is the hub. Hong Kong is one. Sometimes it's two, and sometimes Memphis one. But there's a lot of amazing things happen here. It's always been like that. But it's not the powers that think they want to block certain things from rising up, which is unfortunate. So my thing is, we don't have enough people in the political arena that have a vision, have an understanding of the value of supporting a vibrant, artistic, creative community, of investing. Because I look at Young Dolph, if Young Dolph was in Atlanta, he'd still be alive. He was living in Atlanta I'm saying, I look at what Killer Mike and T.I. and some of them guys are allowed to do in Atlanta. They had a direct line to the mayor's office. They helped elect people. They had conversations, they had relationships. Young Dolph didn't have that in Memphis, and it killed them. And the thing about it is, Memphis is not a bad place, but it's just bad politics. It's just bad that you think about the history where you had, black folks that own businesses, that own homes, they had banks, and they got ran out here by Boss Crump and them. So it's always, oh, you killed Dr. King in Memphis, everything just go sad.
Right.
The day the music died, April 4th, 68. It's always those lines, but shit, they killed a president in Dallas. Dallas is booming. They killed President Kennedy in the middle of the day. Dallas Cowboys won some Super Bowls even. So what is it about Memphis that people act like Memphis so cursed?
Well, I think, and this is just me personally, because I'm on the outside looking in. I was not born and
You've
raised
been here a
in
long
Memphis.
time. You a Memphis.
I wasn't born and raised in Memphis.
You from Gary, right? You know
I've
about
been here for over 20 years or
Okay,
whatever.
you're a Memphian.
Now, the first thing I think too is personally the powers that be.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not saying that they are or not there, but my thing is I don't care.
Right.
Either way, you know what I'm saying? It's like I don't think about them,
Mm-hmm.
and I think a lot of times I think that's the first step, is to just forget about that,
Right.
and focus on what it is that you want to do and what it is that you need in order to get it done. I think that's the first thing, because nobody can stop you from doing anything that you have placed upon yourself to do it, even if you have to move outside of Memphis to get the money to bring in order to do what it is that you're trying to do, or outside of this state, to get in. I mean, our largest grants for On Location Memphis have come from the state of Tennessee.
Okay.
From the state itself. And then our second largest grants have come from foundations outside of Tennessee. And that's fine. You know what I'm saying? And then we've gotten great support from arts organizations in Memphis, who have consistently supported us. But the thing is you just focus on what it is you need to do, where it is you need to go, and what can you tap into to make it happen, regardless of the B. Now, I'm gonna push back a little bit, because I do think that the current administration does recognize the value in a creative economy, in building up a creative economy. I think they recognize the value in it. I think they see, there is, that is Memphis's calling card, so to speak. If you want to talk about Memphis, and I think, creating the sister city relationship with Paretta, Italy is one, one aspect of doing that, and recognizing how Memphis and Stacks, for that matter, are regarded across the world, across the globe. I mean, it garners a lot of respect. Now, to me, the question is, how do we turn that into revenue for the people who live here now? The people who are currently making the content and creating, they're what they call them, the tastemakers, of the industry, so to speak. How do we parlay that cachet so that the people who live here feel it? They feel it in their pockets, as far as what's going on. And that's kind of what I've been focused on. How do we trickle, that local to global is really, how do I trickle that local content to the global economy, and then trickle the money back down, you know what I'm saying, to the people who have directly to the people who have created the content, figuring out how to create that infrastructure and that pipeline. And so we're slowly but surely creating it, and we just need the support from the community and the people to just get the engine running, because the whole industry is a machine that works and produces money automatically. You know what I'm saying? I mean, it's not, you can't even, I mean, when you look at the music industry and the intricacy of, the PROs, your BMI, ASCAP, and CSAC, and then you have your sound exchange, and then you have your television and radio and everything. And then you have this intricate network here in the United States. And then that intricate network is duplicated from country to country to country. And you have content that goes out, and when it goes out, you can't follow it. It's nowhere in the world that you can trace where all that content is going and what's coming up. But when it goes out, it generates checks. We call it mailbox money.
Mailbox, okay.
It generates checks, and you got money in the mailbox. And when you look at that report, you don't even know where it came from and how. You know what I'm saying? All you know is I got a check, whether it's $10 or whether it's 25,000 or 50,000.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? It's a system that works. And it's like, how do I get myself into the system? I talked about the 2020 pandemic. When we launched the Memphis Music Bank, which was the first program under our new mission and vision, what we were talking about was music placement, and we were talking about scoring. Because we knew artists was out there, they were creating albums, they were putting albums out, looking, iTunes and all those other places. They were getting fractions of a penny for streaming and everything. And I knew with placement, even on the low end, if we do a placement for $50 and they get 35 of it, $35 was more money that many of them had seen on a whole album being out there for sale. So, you add many of those 35, $100, $250 for placement that is non-exclusive, which means you can do that placement over and over and over again. So we was like, and you don't have to go anywhere. You do the work one time, you record the song, and then you have it out there being placed somewhere, and you making dollars, not fractions of a penny. Right. So in 2019, we were trying to say, hey, we got this, when I saw that website, and it's a lot, it wasn't we weren't the first music placement website out there. We were, one of the few who were a nonprofit doing it, trying to do it. But when we saw that, I was like, this is a way people can make money off of their content. This is another way. It's not the only way, it's a way. I said, we're going to focus on this way. 2020 pretty much validated our work. When we were talking about it, people was like, oh, yeah. Because I couldn't understand. I said, Memphis is a music town. Why are we not leaning into music placement and scoring? We're a music town. And so we launched our website in 2019. The pandemic hit in 2020. And then people opened their eyes. And, and I said, of course, everybody was shut down as far as if you were doing public performances, if you were performing in clubs and things like that, you could not perform. But if you were already entrenched into the music licensing space, you were fine. You were fine because that side of the music industry actually elevated during 2020 because you had more streaming platforms were coming online. More of them were looking for content. The filmmakers were finding ways to shoot films within the pandemic, during the pandemic. So they were creating content, which means they were licensing music, or they were getting people to score and everything. And so if you were already in that space, then you were able to sustain yourself through the pandemic. You couldn't perform live, but you were, that side of the industry went up. And I remember they did art. I remember, I forgot if it was the Memphis Flyer or someone. They called me to do an interview during that time. He's like, he's like, can we interview you? It was me and maybe 2 or 3 other organizations around Memphis that was kind of leaning into that space. He said, I finally see what you were talking about. I was like,
yeah. In real time, right?
Right, in real time. He's like, okay, now I can see what you was trying to get at, And I was like, yes, this is what I was trying to get at. And so that's what we have to think about. How do we position more of our artists to have been there? We were just starting, so we couldn't really make an impact for the artists who were with us because we had just launched. We were still trying, we still were trying to build relationships within the industry and still to that effect. But, from that, Crosstown Sync came out of, soon thereafter, and they have been able to make inroads into the space as far as music supervisors and things of that nature. And then with us now into the producing space, then we're becoming, the music supervisors and the decision makers, as far as who's going to score this indie film, or who's going, whose music are we going to place in this project. So we've kind of just positioned ourselves to be the decision maker, as opposed to having to get someone to decide that they want to use our content. But I think both are needed. You know what I'm saying? Both sides. You want to play both sides of the coin. You
Right.
want someone who has made the inroads with the music supervisors at your Netflix, at your Paramounts or whatever, who can pitch. And then you want someone who's in the indie space and they're doing some things on their end as far as licensing and placement. And because both sides are paying, you're getting paid both times. And so as an artist, you want to position yourself where your catalog is making money. And so now we're trying to do that with the film space. That's with the relationship with Sweet Spire TV, Koeli TV. We've always had the relationship with Koeli TV, which is a subscription platform. Then we've just launched Sweet Spire TV, which is a free movie app on Roku with programmatic advertising. So that's a difference. We kind of pattern ourselves after Tubi, to see if we can move into that space now that Tubi has been, bought, and it's kind of, it's making changes, as far as content acquisition and things of that nature. So that's what we're trying to do now, is try to, how do we position our independent filmmakers and their content? Because we know it makes money. It can make money. Can make good money.
Well, actually, I mean, you brought up Tubi and also Netflix, and I see what Netflix is doing right now with the buyout of Warner Brothers or whatever's going on their end. And then you talk about Tubi is transition has been brought out. Is the goal to get rid of independent voices, though? I mean, to become corporatized, or
I don't know. I don't know if
it's more about monopolies now than it is about independence.
Right. I don't know if that's the goal. I mean, it's, on that level, it's just about money. And it's about, the revenue that they need to generate for their shareholders, because I think these are all publicly traded organizations. Also about turning a profit, needing to turn a profit, which I don't know how profitable on that level the streaming platforms have been. I haven't done the research on that. I mean, they're generating millions of dollars, but I just haven't done the research on it's like how profitable it is. But we know on the independent side, in the early days of Tubi, independent filmmakers, they were making decent money off of their independent film projects. And some of them were spending as little as $5,000, $10,000, $20,000 to make their independent projects. Now, true, they look like $5,000, $10,000, $20,000 projects, but it's not. But they were making money. So you know what I'm saying? And as people grow and they get a little bit more budget, they do a little bit better, and they get a little bit more training or whatever. Right. So, if I make it for 10 and I'm able to make 15, you know what I'm saying? Then, how, can I really knock it that bad? You know what I'm saying? But I think I think we've shown, with the Memphis movie production, which our short films have been about 24 to 40 some odd minutes. So they're like elongated shorts. And we're spending between 24,000 to a little over 30,000, so to speak, on the projects. And so, and I think, if you look at the quality of the projects, they're pretty decent, quality. I mean, it's not Oscar fair, so to speak, but it's nice. It's good. To me, it's good for the category that it's in. And now the goal is, how do we make that money back? How do we figure out how to break even and then turn a profit. And I think once we figure that piece out, independent filmmakers, they'll be able to do a lot more, as far as, because then they'll be able to attract more money in, because then they'll be able to more predict the turnaround. And I think too, keeping your costs low is a big part of the factor. And I think and creating that community is a big part of the factor of the answer, which I think we've learned that from Tyler Perry and what he's done and how he was able to infiltrate Hollywood on his own terms, is because he kept his costs low, and he came in with his own community and launched off from there. So how do we duplicate that on the micro budget film making side? That's what we're looking at, and then grow from there.
There's a lot of things in my head, and when you talking, I like when you talk. I got these ideas and pictures and his history coming up. You talk about Tyler Perry. Tyler Perry, one thing, he understands the audience he caters to. He understands he doesn't disrespect his audience. I don't really care for a lot of Tyler Perry stuff, but evidently he speaks to a demographic. He's speaking to
a demographic.
And I noticed, and I realized, even with the Wayans family, they came as a family. You gotta come. You can't come by yourself if you're gonna take on this beast. Master P came with his people. They were going into the Jive Rackers. They brought Mystical, brought him. You gotta come with a crew. You gotta come with a gang or a family or whatever you want to call it. You can't just be one person by yourself wrecking it. And also, what I think about too is that, people underestimate the power of this grassroots people stuff. You look at Hollywood back in the 70s, Hollywood was about to go bankrupt. It took black film, black exploitation film, black people.
I heard about that. Yeah.
Think about Melvin Van Peebles and Sweetback Badass Song. He had to go to Bill Cosby to put some money on it. He got Earth, Wind, and Fire to do the soundtrack. The people with a lot of money don't know what to do with the money. I'm looking at these folks are not that smart, because they'll remake a classic and ruin it. They'll make a sequel 30 years later that need not to be made. You know what I'm saying? They don't know what they're doing. But if you got, I'm thinking about radio, the death of radio, Clear Channel. I mean, back in the 90s, I could go to Detroit, Michigan, or L.A. or whatever, Memphis. I could hear the top 40, but I could hear the local stuff too. I could know what's going on in New Orleans by listening to local radio. Miami, Atlanta, you don't have that no more. Everything is all about cookie cutter mentality. But my thing, the things that are hits are not expected to be hits, because the people that run stuff don't know how to make stuff run. They just there. It's not a nepotism in Hollywood, in politics and stuff like that. In Memphis, a lot of nepotism, a lot of old money, a lot of old fools with old money. So my thing is, it's frustrating to be a creative that do have the vision.
Yeah, I mean, that's
and you lack the resources stuff.
That is the truth. And you call it nepotism, you call it friends. I mean,
nothing wrong with nepotism, by
the way. It's just that's it. It's only bad when you on the wrong side of it.
Right, exactly. It's good when it's on your side. Ain't no problem.
So it's like I used to always say that your most important currency in the entertainment business are relationships.
Yeah, that's true.
The other thing I used to say is your first job in the entertainment industry could either be the easiest job you ever got or the hardest job you ever got, depending on who you know. That's what I'm saying? And it has been backed up time and time again when people talk about how they got in the industry. And most, you have people that say, "Oh, I got in the industry because so and so said they needed a body," and then they say, "Come on in here and do that." I don't know nothing about that. Oh, don't worry about that. Just do what I tell you to do. And then once you do it one time, the next time is easier to get the next time. That's right. Because the next time when they ask you, "Have you done it?" all you say is yes. They don't ask you how. You know what I'm saying? How well did you do it? They didn't ask you, how did you get it? They just say, "Oh, I'm looking at your IMDb credit. Oh, okay, I see you did it. Okay, come over here and do it." You know what I'm saying? And then you learn and you grow and you whatever. If they don't know you, then all of a sudden it's like, what school did you go to? What was your, what grades did you get? What was your, GPA? Then all of a sudden it's this criteria that's needed for you to get in. But that's just, that I think that's just human nature. You know what I'm saying? But it's more, you can just see it more prevalent in the entertainment industry. And I wouldn't say it's anything wrong with it, because the entertainment industry is so wrought with fraud and and scam, and it's just so much illegal things that can transpire in the industry that you almost have to create a tribe or a group of people that you can depend on, that that you vetted, for certain they are who they say they are, they'll do what they say they're going to do. I mean, you have to have the relationships in order to do it. And to me, and I understand that, and I don't knock it. And that's the reason why, with the On Location Memphis, with it being a nonprofit, that's how the good people can get in without knowing somebody. You know what I'm saying? They can get in, get the opportunity, learn, build relationship. They can do those things without having to know somebody. That's what it's there for. And hopefully, and then prayerfully too, we as an organization can do some of that vetting. You know what I'm saying? When somebody says, oh, so and so said they can do this, okay, maybe as an organization we can hire that person to do the service and then report. You may not want to go that route. You know what I'm saying? They didn't really deliver, or we hired them, we can, but we're as a community, we're doing it. So it's not, a single person taking the hit. You know what I'm saying? So, that's what it's there to kind of help be that filter. And I'm just thinking that off the top of my head, because it's not like we specifically decided to do that. You know what I'm saying? But it kind of works out that way, because we're creating opportunities, business opportunities, so that people can learn through them. And so we're doing business out here like everybody else in this space, and creating those opportunities for others to learn. And so we're going to be able to report on who's doing good business and who's not. You know what I'm saying? So it kind of just works out that way.
It's interesting. Like you said, you didn't think you was be doing what you're doing now. I mean, when you started, you had other intentions, but like I said, God had other plans. But I just think about the role that people make. Like I was thinking about we were talking about Terry Crews. I remember like Terry Crews, he came now, he's a big thing, whatever. But I remember he was an extra in Training Day. You know what I mean? Like one Denzel won an Oscar for. I think Denzel liked his look. It's just like I like his look. Give him more screen time or something like that, or even. Think about Morgan Freeman, like how long it took him to make it. I mean, he didn't get his first breakout until he was 50 years old with Street Smart playing the pimp, opposite Christopher Reeves. But I'm saying, like, I guess there's more than one way to skin the cat, as they say. But I just think that it got to be persistent. You just can't give up.
That's right. Yeah, you have to keep at it. I mean, you have the person who wins is the one who basically perseveres to the end. Yeah. They're the last one standing, the one who just didn't fall no matter what. And I think with anything that you're trying to do, you have to kind of make it up in your mind that this is what I'm going to do. This is how I want to do it. And you just make the shifts and the adjustments as you need just to keep the ball rolling.
Yeah.
And that's what, and I think the artists, the filmmakers here, that's what they do. That's why, they go to the day job and then they leave the day job and then they go shoot the films on the weekends, or they go record the music, or they go play, because they're still trying to, keep the dream alive, help in a healthy way. You know what I'm saying? Not, they want to still maintain the control. They don't want to be placed in a desperate predicament, so they maintain their autonomy and their ownership and, and that sort of thing. I just would love to see an infrastructure that rewards them for the hard work that they're doing.
You said I'm like, when you talk to really smart people, it just sparks my mind. And I'm thinking about what Denzel talked about, how he used to be a sanitation worker before he became big time. I mean, like he had to pay some dues, and it really is I mean, I talked to George Hunt, the famous artist, did all the posters for the Beale Street Festival. I had spent a little bit of a summer with him in his studio. And he talked about a lot of times how he would come home from his job as a gym teacher or whatever, coach, and he'll paint all night. And they end up opening doors when he said you got to help the passion, you can't quit. If you really love to do something, you're gonna find a way to make it work. And my thing is like, I think about this stuff because I think it's interesting that, it shouldn't have to be a struggle like that a lot of time. I think that, we don't really understand the value that we bring by showing up as ourselves and what we contribute. And I think it's unfortunate that I want to ask you this, since you're now you're a veteran at this filmmaking thing. And what would it take to make one of your short films to a full feature length thing? What would be the budget you think that you could pull it off, to do a feature length 2-hour film, whatever, 90-minute, 2-hour, whatever?
So I mean, we do have scripts that are feature length that have been submitted to us. We just haven't made any moves on them. It's, you have to budget it out. Of course, as you have an increased budget, then you can pay more, you can do more, you can spend more time shooting and that sort of thing. I'm pretty certain with 250,000 we can do any feature length with that budget.
You must be you're a mind reader, ain't that why I said I said, I've been researching that. I said, man, shit. Stuff like Robert Smith was just in Nashville a couple months ago. Robert Smith, the billionaire. You only a couple of people like degrees of separation removed from being in a room with certain types of people. I think I look at the history of America. You gotta be a little bit off your rocker to do things. You gotta think like Trump. You gotta be very audacious and bombastic and stop doing things as business as usual if you want to get something. I'm just saying, like, not necessarily Trump, I was like, I can't keep on doing this same thing, this routine. I gotta do something that's out my comfort zone to get access to this money. I ain't saying rob no bank or nothing.
Right.
There gotta be some way you could get this money to make this film.
Right.
Without selling your soul.
Exactly. Now, I will put a caveat on that.
Yeah.
We would probably, and this is what I've been learning just since I've been shooting these short films. We probably would also need another $250,000 to market and promote.
Right.
I'm starting to see that, whatever, I was told that they said, whatever you spend on the film, you need to spend the exact same budget on marketing promotion after the film is out. So that's how they get to the point where the astronomical dollars as far as the cost. But what I've seen, we've been trying to build a strategy on a micro budget for a micro budget film. And even in that, which we've been doing over the 2 years, I know a part of why we have not seen the type of success that we could have with these 2 films is because we have not had the marketing money to put behind it, to consistently over, a period of time leading up and afterwards to have a consistent global, push on the project, even if it's just, digitally.
Right.
And so now I do, so they say, double the budget. I think though, if I did a 250,000, I think I can probably stretch 100,000 marketing budget and make an impact. I really do. But, and so that we can, because you would, at that point, you need to make 350,000 on that film in order to break even. Right. But I think with $100,000, we could probably do it. So like even on our film, if we had 20, we spent 24, if I had a good 10 that I could have used towards marketing promotion, or even that was with the coffee shop, I think we could have made an impact on the rentals and the streaming for that film. And the same thing with Fifth Step. You know, we spent about close to 30. If we could have had about 15,000, I think that could have made an impact. And I would say that has been our drawback, is not having the marketing dollars after we've promoted the film. But at least we've kind of have learned that you do need some sort of promotion if you want to at least break even, and then look at, you know, trying to make a return on it.
So I actually shared the screen of On Location Memphis, the site where you get the coffee shop 3-day rental, $5.99. Can't beat it.
Can't beat it.
You know, as actually, I mean, all your films, I really enjoyed all of them. The Fifth Step, as well as the coffee shop. And I did the coffee shop challenge. I haven't posted everything, but I did that.
Go ahead and
I promise I did it twice or 3 times.
Go on and put it out there.
Yeah, I'm going to put it out there. I'm trying. But, you know, somebody said the Black Receipt. I want to say, show what he said. He's been a very consistent and faithful listener. And he said something, just like the Black film industry, great legendary radio host Bob Law said that Black music industry was so powerful, the powers that be need to control and lower the talent or something. Let me see. I'm saying it right. Just like but it is about controlling. Cause I know you think about Oscar Mashar, the famous Black film director. That Fox seen Tubi and used the In Living Color strategy on them by buying in and allowing Black creators help grow it and put the back in the game after selling almost everything to Disney. They always using Black people. We talked about how Black exploitation saved Hollywood back in the 70s. We talked about how Eddie Murphy saved Saturday Night Live. And then Saturday Night Live should have been canceled 30 years ago. And Eddie Murphy saved it. You know what I'm saying? Michael Jordan saved Nike. The brother saved Red Lobster. The brother who's CEO of Red Lobster, he saved Red Lobster. Black is the secret ingredient.
Yeah,
is the ingredient. Like Colonel Sanders probably got that from a Black woman, his recipe. But if you think about, you know, in business, to be in the Black is a good thing, but to be considered a Black person is a negative thing. But in business, to be in the Black, good thing. So my thing is they help use Black people, like the WB channel. They had Black TV shows, a couple of those UPN and Black TV shows back in the day. They even used living single as the blueprint for Friends. They always taking our stuff and not giving back. It's like the Negro Leagues. They depleted the Negro Leagues and never paid the owners what they was worth.
Yeah, but I guess my question is, why is it so difficult when you do have a Black entrepreneur to create something such as fan base? And you have Isaac Hayes Jr. I mean, that's what he preaching. You know, he preaching from here to Timbuktu about it. But why is it difficult to get the community over there to blow it up?
I mean, Isaac, he rubs some people the wrong way, though. I think it don't bother me. I think it's his politics, the way he moved. That's his business. But I
don't know. But I'll say this: I've used fan base. But I found it was not, you know, it was difficult. It was a little difficult to use. And so I don't use it as much. So the thing is that, you know, what is that? Is it
but Instagram ain't all that either, though. But yeah, people love Instagram. You know, it ain't necessarily user friendly to me. Instagram.
Well, what makes Instagram user friendly is Facebook, because if you you can set it up where if you post to Facebook, it posts to your Instagram. You can connect.
Yeah.
And then that make it seamless or whatever. So I mean, I make that point to say, is it because he's a Black man? Or is it because of the product? Or is it because this is another, it's because you're coming into a space late in the game. You look at the other gentleman, and I do believe this was started by a Black man. Somebody may need to fact check me. Calendly. Are you familiar with that platform? It's in the business space, but it's the platform that people use in order to scheduling. You know how it's like, it's called Calendly. You use it, you set up your schedule, you can set up your consultation fee, And then people, if somebody wants to schedule an appointment with you, you send them your Calendly link. They pay, they choose, the dates and times that you've made available. They choose it, and then they pay, and then you get links. You can either give them information to come to you personally in person, or you go out and set up Google Meet links or Zoom links or whatever. I do believe that company was started by a Black man or Black person or whatever. That company is doing phenomenal. I don't know if it was first to the game, first to that space, or second, because I do know there are other platforms that do similar type stuff. But I just remember that particular platform in particular because I thought it was started by a Black person. We may need
How you spell it? How you spell it?
I think it's spelled Callendy. Callendy.
Okay.
So they've been doing very, very well. So I think a lot of times, we think about, I guess the point that I'm trying to make, going back to the Isaac Hayes platform in particular, he was definitely coming into a space that was pretty saturated and, treacherous. I mean, you had behemoth organizations already in the space, and he was coming into the space. That is going to make an impact on how well you're going to do, and and because you're Black is not alone, can't pull a whole community. It's just not going to do it. You know what I'm saying?
I hear you on that.
So now, but then,
Absolutely.
then you look at
Let me know what's on your mind, and we'll roll from there, Brother Rod.
All right, Phil, can you hear us?
Loud and clear. I'm right here, ready to jump in. Let's do this.
I'm gonna test you because I know the answer. I think was Calendly or Calendly. You know what I'm talking about, the business appointment app. Are you familiar with that? Can you pronounce it?
Oh yeah, I know exactly what you're talking about. It's typically pronounced like Calendly, kind of like calendar without the R and just the Lee at the end. So you got it.
Okay, was it invented by a Black person?
Yeah, actually it was. Calendly was created by Tope Awatona, who was a Nigerian American entrepreneur. He founded it and it's become super popular. So yeah, Black founders behind it.
How much is he worth? What's his net worth?
So as of late 2025, Tope Awatona, who founded Calendly, is estimated to be worth about $1.4 billion. That definitely puts him among some of the wealthiest Black entrepreneurs out there, and it really shows just how impactful his journey's been in the tech world.
You said 1.4 billion? That will be?
Yeah, it's pretty huge, right? It's definitely a big number. It just goes to show how successful Calendly's become and how much value it's created. So yeah, that's definitely a billionaire level.
Now do a deep search. How much did he have to invest in to make it happen? How much money he had to invest in it?
So basically, to get Calendly off the ground back in 2013, Tope Awatona put in about $200,000 of his own savings and even maxed out his credit cards. So he really went all in to make it happen.
So he a billionaire now, right? You said, right?
Yep, exactly. He sure is a billionaire now. It's kind of amazing to think about how he started by putting in his own savings, taking some big risks, and now he's sitting at that billionaire status. So,
but was he a millionaire in 2013? Do a deep search. Was he a millionaire? He is Nigerian. I'm just wow. Yeah, thank you.
So just to sum it up, before he started Calendly in 2013, Tope Awatona actually wasn't a millionaire. He put in about $200,000 of his own savings and even maxed out his credit cards to get the company off the ground. So he definitely built that wealth from scratch.
So how much is the company worth?
So as of now, the last widely reported valuation for Calendly was about $3 billion back in early 2021. They've grown a lot since then, even though they had some layoffs in late 2024. Overall, they're still on a strong path, but the exact current valuation isn't publicly stated right now.
But you say it's about $3 billion and he's a billionaire.
That's right. So with the company valuation of around $3 billion at its peak and his own stake in it, that definitely helps Hope Awatona reach that billionaire status. It's just one of those success stories where the company's value and his ownership share pushed him into that billionaire club.
So it's a publicly traded company?
Actually, no, it's not a publicly traded company. Calendly is still privately held. So even though it's got a big valuation, it hasn't gone public on the stock market. It's still in that private ownership space.
All right, well, thank you, Phil. So yeah, that's interesting. So 12 years later, $200,000 of his own money, max out credit cards. 12 years later, $3 billion company. He's a billionaire. Is that possible without some help?
Yeah, I think it's possible. I mean, he's probably gotten some help since he's probably gotten some private investors. He's probably had some angel money come in since he made the initial investment. But I think it goes back to the industry. It goes back to the product. The product itself was phenomenal. I mean, it was a game changer. It's a game changer in my law practice. And it was probably a game changer in a lot of other businesses, the use of it.
Right.
So the thing is the use, the product and its use is what's been, what's led, as opposed to the fact that it's, was started by a Black person. So I just think, a lot of times, the fact that a specific product, service, or whatever that's started by a Black person, it's not moved as much or doesn't move as quickly as others. I just say there are other factors that need to be considered in that. It's not just because, but I think with the entertainment space in particular, a lot of times, they are able to build off of the community. We've seen it over and over, so there's no question about that. And then they pivot. So we've seen that we've seen that play over and over again. The question is, I guess my first question is, what harm did it do? What harm did the play do as far as using those groups to build? What harm did the play do once they decided to pivot? And then third, why do we fall into the play every time? You know what I'm saying? Because we've seen it over and over again. And people talk about it, but it's like, but it works. And then there's some Blacks who get famous through it, or they get successful, or they're able to pivot off of it. And then some Blacks get hurt when they decide to pivot out of it. And then when a Black-owned organization in that entertainment space decides to do it, perhaps they're not able to because they don't have the money to throw at it on the same level, maybe, perhaps. I'm just thinking out loud on it. You know what I'm saying? So you have a Warner Brothers channel or TV channel, and you have all the Black shows. They're throwing the money at it, I guess, to produce the shows and everything like that. Can another Black-owned channel, did they ever come along and do it the same way? I don't know. Did BET kind of do it? I don't know.
You got to think about, I'm glad you brought this stuff up, because like I said, I like talking to people like you. You get my brain all. Now, Bob Johnson is from Mississippi, the founder of BET. He's from Mississippi. He said he had the vision for BET back in the 60s, and people laughed at him back then. This is the civil rights era. Oh, freedom, all this stuff. So, like I said, when he started BET was like a 2-hour thing on the weekends when it started back in the early 80s. It started around the same time as CNN, Unheard of 24-hour cable network news. That was unheard of. Ted Turner. You can't think like everybody else. Elon Musk is not normal. Donald Trump is not normal. Jeff Bezos is not normal. I remember the Amazon PBS documentary. I ain't look at all of it, but he said the people that invested in Amazon in the beginning, he said, look, we're gonna lose a lot of money for 20 years. But if you stay on, we're gonna make the money. And guess what happened? He kept the faith. But he had to go, even Fred Smith, go to Vegas, get that gas money for the planes, on the gambling table. I don't think people realize what it takes to really shake up the world. You can't be business as usual. Like I said, you can't go into these type of spaces always undermining yourself through your self-doubt, through subconscious. You got to reboot your subconscious. You got to retrain how you view yourself and how you show up in the world. That's the only way that you could get that money like that. I don't see no way you could get it by just saying you punch a clock. It don't work like that.
No, because they're not investing. They like what you're talking about, but they're really investing in you. When they give you that money, it's because of you. They believe you're gonna make this happen. It's a great idea, but I believe you can execute it, and you're gonna execute it. And so, you know what? I'm gonna put my money in, and that's really what it boils back down.
You gotta have some confidence. You gotta believe in yourself.
You gotta believe in yourself and believe in what
I don't think, like you said, I never used fan base. I don't know Isaac. I just know that he rubs some people. He ain't supposed to be liked by everybody. He and his father, but he's trying to find his own way out his father's shadow. I respect that. So I don't know why it's not going to that next level, because I remember when MySpace was the stuff and Facebook was just like, if you got a graduate or college degree, you could be on Facebook. It was very kind of elitist or kind of like, elite, but MySpace was the rage. Blockbuster could have been Netflix. They didn't see how it was going to play out. What I'm saying? So I don't know. It's like what we talked about, not giving up, giving out, or giving in. But I look at with black people, like with Tyler Perry, he did try to buy BET at one point. He also said that he made more black millionaires than Hollywood, I think, at an award show. And guess what happens next? All these accusations, trying to bring him down, got his own studio. You know what I'm saying? Like Bill Cosby want to buy NBC.
Now we're gonna just we're gonna open up
like
the closet.
Like you said, we see this play all the time. You go back to Sam Cooke, you go back to Otis Redding, you go to Prince and Michael Jackson. You see it play out all the time. So what we got to do to I look at it like this, right? I didn't know who Robert Smith was until he did that speech at Morehouse. Robert Smith, the
he paid off everybody.
I didn't know who he was.
That was
he was no basketball player. He was no celebrity, but he did. Obama spoke to them boys several years before. He just talked down on them and stuff. But this dude said, "I'm gonna give you a leg up in the game. I'm gonna make sure that you don't have to worry about this debt, so you can build you a career as well as build a family." He was invested in them guys, like you said. He was invested in the people. He was invested in black people, and it came out to him with the IRS.
Yeah,
a little bit after that, I didn't know who he was. He was incognito, but I think what's gonna take, you're gonna need a Robert Smith that works behind the scenes, and have like somebody like a Robert Townsend. I remember Robert Townsend did what he did, and they still don't like him. They still punish. Robert Townsend brought everybody. It's like the Wayans; they're bringing everybody in, but he came with a clique. But I'm saying, but you gotta have somebody that got the deep pockets. They ain't worried about being all in your video, all in the video dancing. And behind the scenes, they just finance that stuff, and let the people be the people they're gonna front it and make it happen.
Right.
We don't have people like that no more. We don't have even that Clarence Avant type of cat. Them guys are gone, man. That's a different era. Them days are gone.
Era. Yeah, that's a different era for certain.
But I mean, y'all should get $500,000. You know what it is? Crazy. You don't have to have that much money for advertising if you get with some of these influencers, the right type of influencers, like Candace Owens or somebody, or like those streamers, like I Love Speed, whatever the guy name, I Show Speed. You know what I'm talking about? That came to Memphis, whatever that dude was, that streaming guy.
Yeah, I didn't even know.
Like that, I didn't know your stuff. It's like,
I didn't even know him, but I mean, some of these platforms, they have 20, 30 million, followers. You know what I'm saying? And you get with one of them, you're gonna get what you're looking for. You're gonna get the type of exposure that you're looking for.
It was the range, like, what, you gotta sell your soul. sell potty or so. That's what I'm saying. Like, I don't see how. I had a college classmate. She was well connected. Her folks were very prominent black people. She went to high school in South Africa. Her uncle was a very prominent black journalist in the States, well respected. I had a chance to interview him a couple of times. And she told me, I remember I went to a birthday party about 20 something years ago. I said, I thought you was in Hollywood because you was like on your way. You did that video with Nelly and stuff in St. Louis. She said, Ron, I had to come back to the East Coast because every time I try to get a job out there, they just want you to sleep with them or something. Like sleeping or sucking or screwing or something. She said, I just had too much self-respect for this. So she went back, got an advanced degree. Now she's a media studies professor out at one of the elite schools out east.
Yeah.
I mean, but think about how many people went ahead and go along with the freak off.
Yeah, it's a lot of people because they're desperate to get in the industry by any means necessary. You know, they and many people don't want to admit that. You know what I'm saying? A lot of situations that people find themselves in are situations that they basically chose to be in. You know, now they say, well, I was influenced, or I'm like, the only you can only be influenced because you want it. You know what I'm saying? You want it that bad. That's the only way you can be influenced. I mean, if your self-respect or if your boundaries that you have maintained for yourself are there, then when that situation presents itself, there's no influence to be had. You know what I'm saying? It's like, no, I'm not doing that. Because you say, well, I'll be blackballed. You know what I'm saying? Very well, maybe.
You never had it to begin with. You don't know what you're really missing.
Right. I'm like, you very well may be, but it has to be something that you value more than that. And that's the thing. A lot of times being in the industry, and that's where you have your scams and your people who can take advantage, the wolves that can take advantage of you, because being in that industry means so much more to you than your self-respect and your boundaries. And people pick up on that. And so when they pick up on that, they're going to push. They're going to go as far as you let them go. And you don't even know if they will blackball you. You know what I'm saying? You think they will. Maybe they give you they give you the impression that they will, but you don't know if they really have that kind of power. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, but it's like when you said, I'm thinking
you don't know. I mean, you really
know.
you don't know, and then you don't know even if they do have that kind of power, or you don't know if it's gonna impact you. You know, because they're not God. You know what I'm saying? So it's just like, it's just like, I don't know. You know, I don't know, but yeah. That's kind of what my thoughts are on that. And I appreciate your friend, saying, saying that, and most other people need to just own up to that.
I mean, but a lot of people are mentally ill. Like these people, like, like the Me Too thing. Like a lot of people come out all of a sudden after all these years of participating, and because they could no longer get those roles, they aged out. Whatever, you know how Hollywood treats women and stuff like that. So they aged out, and they say now they regretting everything they did. Now they having nervous breakdowns about it. But you participated. It's like, okay, it's like the Cassie and Diddy thing. I can't see her as a victim. I ain't gonna tell. I can't, because she was there for 11 years. She got millions and millions of dollars. She got all the drugs and all the whatever dangalang, whatever she wanted for 11 years. And people talk about, oh no, he beat her up. I said, well, you could call it Stockholm syndrome, but she was an active participant in selecting some of these guys. They suing her in court right now. She got a $30 million bag for Diddy. She got a husband because of Diddy, because Diddy hired the trainer who became a husband. So I mean, how did she mess up? This victim thing is weird. It's interesting.
How old was she when she?
She was about I say 19, but the age of consent is 16 in DC, in New Jersey, and places like that, 17. Yeah. So she was of age, but also she was with what's a guy named Ryan Leslie, the producer that worked for Diddy. She did like what you call it, hypergamy, where she jumped from one tree branch to the next. I'm with this producer, but here go Diddy. Let me move on to Diddy. She upgrades. She got upgraded. My thing is, she's not a victim. She is not a victim to me. I'm sorry. I just can't see it. I know people that have been victims of things, but to me, she was a willing participant in the whole thing.
I think sometimes people do willingly get involved in things, but don't necessarily know just what they're actually getting into.
That's most of us, right? Is that most of life though?
I think, because I totally agree with you in the fact that she was a willing participant in it, but I think it may be a combination of that desperateness to be in the industry,
want to be famous,
a little bit of manipulation on her part. I'm a beautiful woman. I can finesse. You know what I'm saying?
Ambitious.
I finesse a little bit. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
Because we know that helps a little bit in the industry, even if you don't do anything. With people finesse. But I don't think she thought she would end up enduring what she ended up enduring. I don't think. I personally don't think that. I think over time, and I'm be honest with you, I haven't given it that much thought. But now that I'm thinking about it now,
you haven't seen the documentary at all, like The Reckoning? Have you seen the docu-series, The Reckoning?
I have seen it. I have seen The Reckoning, and and then and when it was unfolding, I caught the headlines and everything when it was unfolding, and so I think because you can't, she was a teenager. I think you said 18, 19 or whatever when she was getting into this, kind of stepping into this situation. I do think that naivete plays into it, because a lot of times people think like, older people like, why don't you just walk away? Why don't you do? But young people whose minds have not developed to a point, they just feel like they can't. Where am I go? How am I gonna live? Mama's gonna hate me. Oh, what they're gonna think because I've done these things. I gotta do it in order to stay. That, and then you got this person who's beating you, and then you got the pressure of everybody thinks we're the perfect couple worldwide. You Cassie, you on the arm of P Diddy. Everybody thinks you got So now I'm got to keep up the appearance that this is the life. You know what I'm saying? Everybody wants to be me. How can I now say I don't? I think it's just it's a nuanced conversation. I think a lot of that stuff play into it. So I think both. I think she was a willing participant, but I also do think she was a victim. By a higher, by a more devious, predator. I do think that. And I think she is paying for her willing participation. Unfortunately,
I can look at Diddy being a victim too of grooming as well too, by like some industry people that people don't ever think should be held accountable. I'm talking about people that people think should never be held accountable until they dead. You talk bad about it. Like Hugh Hefner, he got away with everything. He died at the right time, but they got Cosby. But he'll meet no people at the damn Playboy Mansion. I mean, like R. Kelly is like R. Kelly just want to be like Hugh Hefner. That's all. I mean, but you had 30-year-old women running to R. Kelly telling me he kidnapped me. Once he stopped cutting them checks on shopping spree.
30-year-old women.
I'm not. You had women at 30 telling me he kidnapped me and he stopped paying for their clothes and their budget. You know what I'm saying? Because he cut costs. But my thing is weird. Yeah.
I mean, it's funny too, because Hugh Hefner, I remember it was it's probably one of the first reality shows to come out called The Girls Next Door. I don't know if you ever heard about it, but I remember watching. It was one of those guilty pleasures. I remember watching that show, but what it was it was Hugh Hefner's girlfriends.
I remember that.
He always had like about 3 girlfriends. Wherever you go out, they were bunnies or whatever they were, but they was Hugh Hefner's girlfriend. And I remember watching that show, and I said, man, that's like a job title. Like, are they really his girlfriend, or is that just a job title? And when I was watching that show, I said, I think it was one that was like she really thought she was his girlfriend, or she acted like the girlfriend. But them other two, especially that youngest one, this was a job title. This was my job title. I play this role when we out. I'm Hugh Hefner's girlfriend, but nah, this is just my job or whatever. And they probably got paid. They definitely got paid off the TV show or whatever. But I don't know. I mean, it's one of those things that I guess he chose the right ones. They all knew and they must have all got handsomely compensated for the job or for whatever it is they were trying to do, whatever they did, because they did it. So I don't know why Hugh was ever able to go through life and do it, and R. Kelly is in jail.
But this is how gangster Hugh Hefner was and is. He made the first person on the cover of Playboy magazine was Marilyn Monroe. He never compensated Marilyn Monroe or her estate for putting on the first cover of Playboy, which made him millions and millions of dollars.
Oh, yeah.
And then he is buried next to Marilyn Monroe.
Oh, really?
Right by her side. Yeah, he's next to her in the mausoleum, whatever. Then there's a dude that's buried on top of her. He told his wife in his will, make sure you turn me on my face to face Marilyn for eternity. These type of weirdos she surrounded with in death.
Oh,
Hugh Hefner exploited this woman without her consent.
You done took it to a whole other level.
Yeah, millions of dollars off this woman, never got her consent. Marilyn was, they did her. They killed Marilyn. She was just 36. 3 + 6 is 9, so she was a sacrificial lamb. They murdered Marilyn Monroe. I don't care what nobody. They murdered her, and it's weird. Let's look up the stuff that happened to her that night. They moved the body from the house, brought it back to the house.
Oh my goodness!
That stuff. Even the coroner, Dr. Noguchi, I believe his name was. He said, "Nah, she didn't overdose on these pills. It got they shot some stuff in her." But I'm getting either here. I'm saying Hugh Hefner was able to get away with so much, and I even look at even Clive Davis. I'm talking about Clive Davis was a mentor to Diddy's man, Andre Harrell at Uptown, and then Andre Harrell connected Clive to Diddy. Clive gave him all that money to star Bad Boy.
Yeah, the star Bad Boy. I did know.
And also Clive Davis tried to help the black people at Stax. Then he got caught up in his own situation. So Clive gave Stax, remember Clive got A.L.L and them like an 85% distribution deal. Okay. They're like some Master P Cash Money stuff, but he did. He said, "I'm gonna let y'all. We'll just get 15%. Y'all keep the 85%." And once they got rid of Clive Davis, I think at CBS or something like that, the white folks said, "Hell, it's too much money for them Negroes to have." Just like Union Planners Bank said, "It's too much money for them Negroes to have."
I guess they hadn't signed the contract or something.
Well, they signed it. They signed it with Clive Davis. A.L.L negotiated with Clive Davis. He said, "Okay, y'all get 85% of the distribution. We just get 15%."
Yeah,
think about what he did. Like, think about
they still probably would be making a killing off of, because they probably just doing distribution. They probably Allen and probably still had to do all the press and marketing and
but still don't be able to have your album. You know how they said it. People couldn't find their songs or records or albums in the stores. When they got on the wrong side of CBS, I believe after Clive Davis.
They did say that in the story.
Renegotiate. So that's the power. Think about. No, David Benner said, "Man, like they destroy independent music artists by doing streaming. No artists ain't making a lot of money out the streaming like we think they are. No. But when they had CDs in the stores, you get a certain cut of that CD. Yeah, it's like I remember Project Pack talked about it in Source Magazine over 20 years ago. Like, why don't they say why you don't want to sign to a major? Why should I sign to a major where I can sell about 50 to 80,000 out the trunk?
Yeah.
Think about 50 to 80,000 copies of a CD and you keeping most of the money.
Yeah, I mean, Prince was the first to hit that. When he started trying to sell his albums direct, online. I think he was one of the first artists.
You see what they did to him, because you couldn't find his stuff on YouTube when he was alive. You couldn't find hardly no Prince songs on YouTube. Not only can you find his songs on YouTube, you can find the unreleased they killed him for in the vaults.
Oh yeah,
he didn't have a will, but yeah, he fought for his publishing and stuff. He had a vault of unreleased music, and you tell me he didn't have no will.
Yeah,
and also his relatives all getting killed or knocked off or dying under mysterious circumstances.
Yeah, that's crazy.
This is what they do,
understand that, huh?
This is what they do. I'm saying, like, how do you fight that? If you don't know, this is what they do. And we always talk about Prince and Michael Jackson and Sam Cooke, Otis Redding,
Michael Jackson,
Jesse Belvin.
Now Michael Jackson, he put his affairs in order.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to that movie. But I mean, Michael had that ATV catalog. Michael was gangster with it though.
He was. His stuff was in order. And
but I think their family sold that ATV half there in the
state did. I think.
But like they keep you from making money. But they like watch that they gonna make billions and billions. He owned the Beatles. He owned Eminem. He owned Elvis.
Yeah, he owned
gave Little Richard stuff back. I think gave Sly some stuff back. I don't know. Bo Diddley or whatever. But he knew the history. But Michael Jackson was told to do this by Paul McCartney, because Paul McCartney told him, "Hey, you know, you're buying the catalog." He ended up buying the Beatles catalog. He outbid Paul McCartney and Yoko Ono.
Oh yeah,
beat them at their own game. That's why they killed Michael Jackson. He beat them at their own game. They don't. I'm just saying it's like what you know. A.L.L was his daddy worked for Winthrop Rockefeller, right? You know,
really?
He was the governor. He said it in the Stack series, docu-series.
Okay.
You know, Winthrop Rockefeller was a Rockefeller. He was governor of Arkansas. He told them how they do it. He said, you know, if they can't destroy you, they want to join you or something like that, buy you out. You know, replace it.
The system.
He said all the rules in there. I can't remember off the top of my head, but he told
I'm gonna have to watch it again.
That white man broke that gang. I tell people don't understand. Arkansas is the most gangster state in the union. They always blaming stuff on Mississippi and Alabama. No, it's Arkansas. They the most. You can hide bodies in Arkansas to this day. It's called the natural state for a reason. They got the Ozark, got all these waterways. I go to Arkansas. I speed through Arkansas. I don't like Arkansas.
You say you don't go through that.
Nah, I go through it. I go fast through it. You know, you go 85 miles per hour now. I go maybe like 90. I don't mess with Arkansas like that. They gangster like that. So A.L.L know how to deal with white people because he's from Arkansas.
Okay.
He dealt with one of the top white people, the real white people. Because a lot of white people that think they're white ain't really white. Like Dick Gregory said, if you don't got enough zeros in the bank, you ain't white. And that's most of the so-called white people. They ain't white. That's another show. I want to hold you, Miss Attorney Green. What's the best way to support you and find out more information about your wonderful program and your organization?
Well, you can go to onlocationmemphis.org.
Okay.
onlocationmemphis.org, and you can also go to sweetspire.tv.
Okay, I look forward to hearing some more great things. We gotta have you back on the platform again very soon. We didn't get to everything I want to talk about, but
okay,
glad we got this done.
We got through enough.
We got through enough. Y'all want to respect your time. So thank you so much. In the words of Duke Ellington, we love you madly. Words of Brother Ron, keep on producing and pushing. One and only attorney Angela Green. Keep on keeping on.
Thank you, sir.
And Happy New Year in advance. And that does it for this edition of the Artivist Presents We All Be. Like the words from Brother Herb, please spread the word. It's We All Be TV2 for right now. Also, you can support the cause. You know the ways. You got the Cash App and all this stuff flowing on beyond here. So I want to thank you all for another wonderful time. Thank you for tuning out, to tune in, to get in where you don't fit in. Because like Dr. King said, human salvation lies in the hands of the greatly maladjusted. Until the next time, one love and the marathon continues. All right, we out and about.